So Jess, I love pulling back the curtain on exactly how you work with your clients. And from what you've told me about Zach, he's spent half his life and half of his career recruiting new young staff because there's such a high turnover rate. Talk me through what you did with Zach and how we solved that problem.
Yeah, so we worked with their business for many years, and one of their big core challenges and problems, which I see many businesses out there have this same issue, is they spend a lot of time recruiting. They employ on what I call gut feel, and then once they recruit and onboard, they leave the implementation and the training strategy to their team members, and that's the big mistake. And that was the pattern that occurred in their business over many, many years, and they weren't able to then develop their own talent. They were too reliant upon trying to get a performer from another agency. So we went on a real strategy to be able to unpack that in their business and give them the implementation strategy then to make sure we can recruit and onboard effectively.
What was the sort of culture of that business as far as what was happening between the team members and why was there that problem?
Well, typically what I see in a lot of businesses is they'll bring on young people and they'll give them to a senior salesperson and they'll end up being like a lackey, and they'll be just basically to do the shit stuff that they don't want to be doing. And ultimately what happens to the younger talent is they don't see any long-term vision of where they're going to be in their own businesses, and they end up just either packing it in or go to the competition. So one of the things that was really important in this implementation strategy we do with a lot of our clients is to be able to make sure as a business we actually give them a 3-month induction training program where we don't release them to any team members until they've done the core work that we want them to be able to do around building great habits, around building relationships with clients, prospecting. And we're still on this journey with their business, and we're already seeing some astonishing early term results.
Can you talk me through some of what they are?
Yeah, so we inside the first 90 days of the first 2 people inside their program, through the day-to-day implementation strategy, they've been able to add $100,000 in extra revenue to their business. Wow. And not only that's pretty impressive, but the other part of it is at this point in time, they still haven't been released to any of their team members. So now what's happening is their senior team members want them because they can see now they've been trained more effectively. And it's really critical then to make sure we hold them back till they've got the real foundations. And what's going to be happening long term is they're going to have a better quality junior person coming through their business.
And so how's that impacted? Like, I can see how it's impacting the numbers. I can see how it's going to impact retention, especially with those younger staff. How's it actually impacting the overall culture of the company?
Well, better culture, because ultimately people feel like they've got a better strategy, a better plan they can do day to day. And I was actually in their business over the last week and catching up with some of their senior team members, and I was asking how they're finding the new talent in their business, the changes we've been making. And it was really interesting, and one of them said, it's actually changed my whole perspective myself of what I need to be doing better. And that was a really interesting takeaway, that generally more experienced people can have a few lazy tendencies around what they should be doing. So you have younger people coming through who have a better plan, and it rubs off on other people in the business, and that's been a big takeaway for these guys.
There's nothing like some young people nipping at your heels to make you smarten up your act.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit now about how we can get involved with working with you.
Yeah, so one of the things, if you're out there watching this now and you like that, where you've got high turnover, no long-term strategies, what we generally do with the business is, first off, we want to make sure we look at a 2-tiered assessment process of where people's core pain points are. And in the example we've just talked about, the issue around recruitment and onboarding, inside our leadership program is one of the core steps we do in the first 3 months, is to be able to assess that and make sure then we can give you the implementation strategy to grow your business moving forward.
And obviously that needs to be very unique to each specific business, right? Like, it's not a plug and play, cut and paste DIY set of videos here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, in our 2-step assessment process we do, each individual business is going to have some core problems, and in our leadership program we run, we're able to identify those and then go in myself and then help them individually with that implementation strategy, especially in the first 3 months, which I see is where some of the core challenges can really lie.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess.
So if your business is in a similar position where you're struggling to make listings or make sales, we're opening up places in our leadership program. But what we do is we get you together, we do a 2-tiered assessment, and ultimately what you come up with is an implementation strategy to grow your business in the next 12 months. Either send us a DM or book in for a call and we'll talk about the next steps.